Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unloaded and Uncovered podcast with me, your host, Magda Tazir. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. You will catch every single podcast under the podcast tab on my channel. Weekly drops every Friday, 12 a.m. Central. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram at Unloaded and Uncovered Podcast. Go ahead and find us on Facebook, Unloaded, Uncovered. Follow and like the page. There, I will keep you updated with so much more episodes, whatever I'm doing, and things like that. So please follow, engage, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. So today I have another new guest. I'm not gonna lie, we've been chatting before we got on a good hour. Like we've been chatting a good hour. But I want to introduce to you all Erica. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm
How are
good. How
you?
are you?
I am good.
Appreciate you being here with me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and spending some time with me to talk about Erica and to talk about who Erica is. So let's get into it. So yes, Erica, start from the beginning. Who are you?
Oof.
And what are you about? You know what I'm saying? What
Mm.
you about?
For as long as I can remember, I have been a survivor. I have been a person who has been able to somehow, some way work it out and come out on the other side of some crazy life stuff. Sometimes I have looked up and been like, is this really what's happening to me right now? Like, is this really my life? Like, God, for real? This is what we're doing? Okay. You know what I mean? And I have definitely been a person who has been able to just like I said, make a way out of no way. You know what I mean? A lot of times, something out of nothing.
So start from the beginning, Erica. What was childhood like?
Oof, man. Childhood looked like what I think a lot of people's childhood looks like. Now that I look back on it, I thought like I was the only one a lot of the time. But as I engage and talk to more people, I find out that I'm not the only one. I grew up at a time where latchkey kid was what it is. I am a Generation X, and so latchkey. My mom was a single mom. Um, for quite a while before I met my stepfather, who was an incredible blessing to my life and opened my mind up to think beyond the box, beyond the veil, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was a kid that I got myself dressed, took myself to school, brought myself home every day, that type of thing. There were days like getting myself dressed that I wore things that I shouldn't have worn, and once was sent home by the teacher, like, where are you going in this outfit? And I had to go and I had to go home and change. I might have been about, I don't know, it's fifth grade or something like that. In my mother's closet, finding things to wear. I was an only child. My sister and brother and I are 15 years apart, 15, 16 years apart. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was pretty much an only child growing up. And so there was a lot of introspection and a lot of alone time. I wasn't the type of kid that was running out to make friends really easily. That was kind of difficult for me. But I tell this story and it really frames who I am today. I used to
Mhm.
get bullied a lot.
Really?
Yes, I was getting bullied a lot. I think a lot because of the way my facial features are and the sound of my voice. Me at 10 and me at 15 was a very soft voice. I had just my loudest voice, like, and me cussing you out was like Minnie Mouse cussing you out. It was just really not and no.
Oh. So you have that soft voice telling somebody, I hate you, B. Oh, oh, that is, I'm sorry, but that's cute.
So I wasn't like I don't think that I was taken seriously, and I think that I was seen as an easy target. But my mother, if anybody understands and knows what Newark, New Jersey is about, My mother is from a town called Newark, and my mother used to be like, "I'm gonna teach you how to fight," and I took that in, and that turned into me being a I was a what do you call it, a bodyguard for hire in elementary school. And so
Wait a
somebody
minute.
would, yes, no, I
Wait,
kid you not.
wait a minute.
I
A
kid you not.
bodyguard for hire in
For
elementary
hire
school?
in elementary school. So someone would be getting bullied on the playground and I would be
Yeah.
off doing something else. And the kids would come and find me and they would say, "Hey, Erica, so and so's getting bullied on the playground." And I used to be like, "Oh, really? Really? That's what's happening? Well, you know the fee." And the fee was a quarter and they would pay me a quarter and I would go down to the playground and like, I'm telling you, man, I used to fight like, oh my God. I had enjoyed it. It got to the point where I enjoyed fighting so much that I wanted to be Layla Ali. Layla Ali to me was everything. She was like always just like her daddy talking about, I'm still pretty, right? She'd be in them fights, you know. And I really thought that I had gotten to the point where I was trying to remain calm in a fight. I was trying to land punches in a fight. I was trying to be very strategic in the fight and
Okay.
grew to love it. Really grew to love fighting, which is an interesting career, I guess. When I asked my mother if I could be a fighter, she was quickly like, no. And that was the end of that. Quickly shut that down. She was like, no. But yeah, and I was fighting a lot. Fighting girls got pretty easy. And so I was fighting
Mm.
boys. Um,
Boy.
yeah, I was fighting boys. It was crazy. But this is back in the day where, you didn't bring a gun to a fight
Yeah.
like they do now. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? We really
Yeah.
fought back then. We really was like in a circle of people, you know what I'm saying, hands up, trying to, fight for real. Yeah, so that's part of that when I look back at that, it's probably a lot of the framework of who I am today. I'm still a fighter to this day.
I believe.
I fight differently, of course, now, but I'm still a fighter. I did the military, Navy. I did the Navy for 8 years.
Mm.
Yeah, I was a corpsman. And
What? Excuse my
oh,
ignorance. What's a corpsman?
a corpsman is a medic. I was in a medical field for the history is a corpsman,
Oh.
right? So that's where that comes from. That's where that comes.
Okay.
So I worked my first duty station was Hawaii. I was there. And yeah, right, real cool, my first duty station. And that's where I got married, or I met my now ex-husband. And from there I did medical photography also at the end of that Navy career. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got out. So I was an EMT. I've seen some crazy stuff, in the military that was crazy. And I'll tell you something that I normally don't speak on. I used to, since we're being transparent, I'm willing to tell a little bit about myself. I used to steal cars. I remember that. Yeah, I
Wait
used
a
to steal
minute.
cars. Yeah, no, real
Hold on.
talk. I
Before
know.
we got on, we talked about something. Before we got on, we talked about something else. Now you telling me.
I figure, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay. I want to preface this by saying,
yeah,
first of all, you came out here, also elegant woman. You was whooping ass and you was stealing cars. You do not look like somebody who
right,
would hurt a fly. And then you out here stealing cars? Man,
man.
what else? What else?
That
Because you're not gonna just come up here and just look very elegant, hair done, all that, well spoken. But whole time you Suge
man,
Knight in a dress. You are Suge and Debo in a dress. What is going on? Not you being Suge and Debo in a dress, because Debo was
listen.
stealing everybody's stuff. And you steal cars.
I'm trying to tell you, man. I was the only child growing up, and at the bottom of everything that I was doing, I was just looking for love and acceptance.
Mm.
At the end of
Mm.
the day, the reason I was a part of that group that stole cars. It was a whole group of us, mostly guys, that I was the head and lead of. Um,
You were in charge?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now
That
you got a massive Queen of the South in you too?
I
Ma'am, what is going on? I'm here for it in a certain way because you have reformed. This is great, but keep going.
listen. Yeah, no, there's like a few things that I have done in my life that at one point I regretted. But on
Mm,
this end of my life, I see where a lot of those, I'll say, skills came in handy because I needed to be fearless in a lot of
mm,
situations that I'm in, that on this side of life, and
yeah,
do those things. They weren't right. They weren't. I'm not saying that they were right, but what I
right.
am an example of is taking like transferable skills. Definitely. I was, before I joined the military, I was doing all that kind of stuff, which is one of the reasons why I joined the military, because I had no fear and I needed to use that in an appropriate way. And the military really was that place. And because I had stole cars for, I don't know, it was probably a 6 month, maybe 8 month career, if I should say that, helped me when I was driving that EMT. I was EVOC. And so I knew how to handle that EMT truck because I wasn't scared to drive it because of what I had done previously. And I remember having someone in the back whose life was, slipping, and I needed to move quickly. Man, I adjusted that seat, sat back, cocked to the side. I was whipping that out. Listen,
You were Queen Latifah and set it up.
listen, I had to do what I had to do. But for this time, I was so proud because it was for all the right reasons. And in
Right.
my mind, I was like, listen, when I thought that I was heading in the wrong direction, and then I was, when I tell you, won't he do it? And he takes what's meant for your bad and turn it around for your good. This
Yes.
includes that as well. Because I had this no fear of authority type of thing. This leadership quality was developing in me. And
Mm,
so that's why, I don't know, I was just very forward thinking in these things. And on top of that, I had this thing that helped me to understand people. Like, I just had this intuitive thing to be able to read people. And
mm,
instead of reading people and using that quality for bad, I used that quality for good. And
okay.
I just became a natural leader, man. I was always like the girlfriend or the first lady of something, of somebody doing something big. I was always like that girlfriend. Um, but I was also a person who didn't understand self-love and didn't understand her value and her worth. You see what I'm saying? So this is another reason why I chose to do certain things that I had done. Like, I was the wifey of a drug deal. I mean, I did all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I felt like that intuitiveness within me just kept me from going too far. And when we talked about the God voice, right? The
Yeah.
God voice would say, okay, yeah, you've seen enough.
Yeah.
It's time to pull back, you know? And I took on one hand, I realized that I was heading in the wrong direction, but I also realized that I wasn't scared to do certain stuff. Or if I was scared, I knew how to handle that fear and drive it so that I could use it for my benefit instead of
Right.
letting it break me down. Because there were a couple times that fear had paralyzed me. And
Mm,
I used to sing. And then how, like, when you singing, man, if you scared, that's coming out, right? Your
it
voice is,
is.
you're
Yeah.
gonna sound like a sheep out there, you know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Struggling for air.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
do.
there were just so many things that I needed to tackle for myself, and that was one of them. I did college for a little while. I didn't graduate across the stage in college down to like my last math class because my business took off. At the time, I owned this. At the time, this was my third business. I owned a magazine for 2 years, an entertainment company for 8. called
Wow.
IPM Live in Washington State. There was a beautiful time, incredibly beautiful time. It surfaced at the same time that, remember, I don't know, well, I don't know that you would remember, but when jeans were not accepted in church, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when
Okay.
jeans weren't accepted and it was about bringing your best to God type thing, right?
Hmm.
So there were a lot, and hip hop wasn't accepted in church either.
Yes, because now they swag surfing in church right now. So
Right. This was when I was starting this business at the beginning of that transition. And it was
okay.
called ITM Live. And my ex-husband and I at the time, we would go to these underground spots and find Christians who had enough courage to do gospel hip hop in a secular venue underground. And those are the type of cats that we were looking for. And we found some cats that were just absolutely talented, and we brought them to our platform and basically offered them the opportunity to grow their gift and to
Right.
harness who it was that they were going to be on stage. And we did that for about 8 years, and that grew incredibly. That was a lot of fun, I must say. I grew a lot. I was a photographer at the time. I shot a lot of CD covers and things like that. I had a great time. I love photography. So if you go onto my IG page, you'll see that I love photography, right? I'm the selfie queen. I was doing selfies way before selfies was selfies, baby. I had a remote for
Okay.
my camera, and
Okay.
listen, I was trying to find my own beauty. That's what that was. I was trying to find my own beauty in pictures, and did that for about 8 years, and then stumbled on us because my ex at the time played basketball, an international semi-pro team.
Okay.
We took that on. It was an ABA team. I was in college at the time. I used that as my homework because I was like in business kind of, and
Hmm.
business and art. I was trying to merge the two together. And the ABA was a failing business, but because I had done that homework, I knew why the ABA was failing. And so we directed our efforts at a lot of marketing and things like that. We built a relationship with Japan and China, and we were flying back and forth. So my passport is stamped up with Japan and China visits. Yes, it was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, I've sat with dignitaries and gone to dignitaries' homes and sat at a table when you have Russia and Singapore and whoever else, and none of us spoke the same language. We had to have interpreters, or it was the most beautiful game of charades that you will ever play, trying to get things like water or where's the bathroom or these types of stuff. And we would just kind of like act it out. And it was a hilarious time because we didn't speak the same language.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So that was a wonder. We did that for 11 years. That was incredibly, that was a
Wow.
wonderful time. And then COVID came and we had tickets. I believe we had tickets for Japan, or I think it was Japan or China, one of the two, in our hands when I think Wuhan schools were shutting down and that. And for a lot of people, that was a difficult time in business. For me, it was pretty much escape. And I used it to make a huge life transition to becoming single. And that was really rough, hard times. You don't just leave a 22-year marriage, you know? And it was something that was building up over a lot of years, and I just didn't feel heard. And even after my best efforts to communicate in as many forms and as many ways as I possibly could, I still felt like I wasn't being heard.
Yeah.
And so I made a decision to bet on myself and leave. And so
Mm.
that's how I got here to Virginia. And remember, we talked about, having to move back into your mama's house, right? Listen, listen, I love my mama, but Lord have mercy, okay? Um, this time I was back with two kids. My
Mm.
daughter is 22 now. She was like 19 at the time. And my son, who is special needs with me, he was, and so it was really difficult because I was afraid. I didn't leave my ex because I was afraid. I was afraid to be a single mom with a little girl, and I was afraid to be a single mom with a special needs child.
Yeah.
And but when I weighed the two, I definitely felt like I needed to bet on myself. And I have never failed me, even in my dumb decisions in life. I always managed to turn those decisions into something positive and something that worked for me. And I
Right.
looked at my contribution to the business and felt like I may not have that business, but I damn sure have the blueprint. And so,
Oh,
okay.
full
And
circle.
so, right, exactly. So when I got here, I had to, stand on my own too, which I was very sure that I could do. I was very excited. I was very happy. I was elated. I was in the best shape of my life. I am a gym rat. I love the gym. I love the smell of weights. I love the smell. I like to hear the weights clanking. I love all of that. And was in the best shape of my life and got jump kicked in the chest with stage 4B adenocarcinoma cancer. I was dying and did not even know it. I was in the best shape of my life. I was the happiest I had been in years, and I was dying and did not know it. I had a few symptoms that I didn't know to even look for because most people talk about breast cancer or
Yeah.
these other types of cancers. I just had this feeling of like I'm getting full really quickly,
Okay.
and my stomach was kind of upset more than a little bit than normal. I had one sharp pain one morning in my side. Um, but other than that, I did not recognize any of these symptoms. And I'm going to tell you how I came to know that I was stage 4B. Prior to me leaving my ex, I started having a series of dreams that were foretelling of something that I just did not understand. I was looking at the clock, and every time I looked at the clock, it would be 1:11, 11:11, 12:12, 2:22, 3:33, 4:4. And every time I would just be like, dang, what time is it? And just randomly look at the clock. It would be this sequence of numbers. At first, I thought it was cute. At first, I was like, oh, hi, look, 12:12. You know what I mean? Then after a while, I was like, okay, something is going on, and this is weird, and it's starting to scare me at this point because I don't have an understanding of why I'm seeing these numbers. This then would follow the dreams where I would see myself very thin, very sickly, but happy. And I would be wearing the color green. And as we know, that color is the color green is of renewal and starting over, or it could be jealousy, you know what I mean, and envy, right? But I didn't
Right.
know who I would be jealous of, and but I didn't at the time see me starting over a fresh new life. What did that mean? That and I also saw myself talking to the dead. I had a conversation with a young boy who was 18 who let me know that he was sad that he had passed at such a young age. And I shook hands with this young boy in my dream. And when I shook hands with him, his hand became real in my hand, but not real like a warm body, real like a body that had been refrigerated. If you know what I'm saying, that had been
Yeah.
post mortem. And I it shook me so badly because whatever I made a deal with, and whatever was the agreement in this deal that I had made with this young man, a dead man, I was cloaked to me in the dream. I have no idea what deal I
Wow.
made, and still to this day I do not know what deal I made. The only thing I can imagine is that I made a deal for more time. That's the only thing I can even put together. The following night, I had another dream. This is like a succession of dreams that were happening night after night. And I was talking to an unborn child in the womb, right? The womb was highlighted, and I was cradling this belly, and I was talking to this baby, but I was not cooing. I was speaking like I'm speaking to you, to this
Hmm.
unborn child. Behind the light, behind this belly was a rising light behind the belly. Later, when I would find out that my daughter would get pregnant, and I was talking to her belly, and I did not realize that the rising light was actually a rising sun because we named him Iman Ra after the sun god, the Egyptian sun god. And
Oh,
so wonderful, right?
that's
Um,
beautiful.
didn't even put that two and two together until after he was here and named. Then it clicked. I was like, oh my God. So that was the first dream that came that made sense. That and me in the green and looking sickly. And then with my sister in New York, the setting was in New York while I was on the West Coast, right?
Right.
Then that made sense. I had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to get a hysterectomy. Beyond child, ain't nobody having no baby at my age. It's not, we're not doing that, right? It's not happening. And then my cycle was getting in the way of my job. I managed to work my way up from receptionist to an executive assistant within a year within the company that I was in. And it was just me
Hmm.
and my boss in the office. And my cycle was taking me out of the office 2-3 times a month, I mean, 2 to 3 days every month, because my cycle was just heavy, right? And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to get a hysterectomy. That'll rectify that. But I didn't want to take it because I just started the job. And after that, that's how I found out I was stage 4. I went for a hysterectomy, and they didn't find it until they opened me up laparoscopically, and then they
So
saw
what type
all
of, I don't want you to cut you off, but what type
the
of cancer is that?
adenocarcinoma. It's in the mucous membrane,
Okay.
between like your stomach and your skin and the muscle. There's a mucous membrane there that when you breathe, things slide, right? It's in that
Yeah.
mucous membrane, which makes it a difficult cancer, and it also puts me in the 1 percentile of the cancer community. I'm a rarity. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm starting my own
Yeah.
podcast called The 1%. Real talk, no lie, right? So,
Right.
I was dying, like I said, I and did not know it. I would have died and didn't, because it was stage 4B. The next stage is 5, and that's hospice. And that means that I'm inoperable at the time. So when they looked in my body to remove my uterus, they were presented. I presented with a belly full of cancer. It was my whole midsection was full of cancer at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, so here I was. Um, it was a year to the date, a week within the date that I had left Washington. I had left the West Coast that
Yeah.
I found out. And so that was my first bout with cancer. And then I had
Your first?
my first bout. It came back. It came back. I fought with it for 2 years, and I had an ileostomy bag, the whole nine. And I finally got on my feet to go back into work. I got hired, and in between me getting hired and my first day, I found out that I was stage 4 again, that it had come back, and I had to have the operation
Same.
all over again.
So when they were operating to remove your uterus, did they also remove the cancer?
Yes, I had my uterus removed, ovaries removed, like all lady parts removed. Inside, I had a piece of my liver taken out, parts of my colon taken out. I have had, just a few things. I'm pretty much living well without what I didn't live without at this time. It was, yeah. So, you know what I mean? It was at that moment. It was in this time frame that I definitely realized I was um here for a reason and purpose,
Yeah.
bigger than myself, and I needed to share. There's a Facebook page called 3 a.m. Thoughts, and I needed to share my 3 a.m. thoughts and my findings. And I definitely listened to a man named David Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar.
I am.
Yes, David Goggins spoke to me in a way that helped me get up. I didn't need the Dalai Lama to quietly speak to me about the keys of life. I needed someone to damn near cuss me out to get, you know what I mean, to get up. Like I needed to get up. I was dying and I needed to get up. For many years, I fantasized about a way to die because I was that unhappy in my marriage. And so I can understand, and I understand you. I wanted, and I asked for a car accident, a sickness, something, right? Had that same conversation. Um,
Yeah.
and here it is, it manifests. Here was my
Mhm.
way out. here was my way out. If I wanted to leave this world, I had the opportunity now. There was an open door that I could walk through and just and leave this world. But now that I was happy, I wasn't ready to go. Um, so they did something called I had a type of chemo that they pour warm chemo in your body after removing all of the parts that had been infected, and they rock you like a washing machine for 45 minutes. Yeah, it's
So
called.
are they pouring, are you drinking, like how are they pouring it into you?
There's like kind of like if you kind of like if you've ever seen someone who's doing dialysis.
Okay, yeah.
Like it's pumped in and recycled. So
Okay.
not that they were taking my blood out. They were not taking my blood out, but the chemo was pumped in. And I had been cut from my breastbone down to my hip bone pretty much, and they sewed that back up, and I have there are ports you can see on either side of my body when and the chemo's put in, and then I'm like an organ wash where they like wash your organs
Mm,
with chemo. And I didn't lose all of my hair, but it definitely became pretty thin, like pretty, So I had, that whole experience. And on this whole time, mind you, I'm pretty much single going through this. I have now talk
mm.
about thinking about did I leave in the right time? Because I didn't want to be alone during cancer. You know what I mean? Who wants to be alone? Is there anybody that wants to be alone
No,
during cancer?
no,
Right?
no one.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I had somewhat of a relationship that was long distance, but it wasn't someone that could physically be there for me. But the second time around, after I got over, I really asked God. I was like, I don't want to be alone like that again. And so when cancer came around the second time, I definitely had someone there with me, and it's the guy that I'm with to this day. Um, you know,
That's
who
amazing.
is absolutely hilariously funny. This is a funny guy. I like to laugh, and it is a great partnership.
Yeah, we know you like to laugh.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know. That is amazing. My gosh. So after the second round, it's gone, right? Cancer
Yes.
gone?
Yes, I just got a screen done. So prayers up that I am cancer free, because the second time the both times I feel just like I feel right now, look just like I look right now, and I was dying and didn't realize it. So I am hoping that this time around that I do not have to go through this operation for a third time. They are pretty rough. The healing from cancer is pretty rough.
Goodness.
I would not wish it on. I don't even wish this on my ex. Like, this is bad. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Hmm.
yeah, pretty rough. And anybody who's been through will definitely tell you the same, that it takes a mental fortitude. So when we talk about the fighting, it has definitely come around where fighting, whereas was meant for bad, is once again turned around for my good. And I'm not fighting the same way that I was, but I'm still fighting. I'm
You
still
are.
fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's heavy. That's
It is.
real heavy. That is really heavy. Now, since the we're gonna say the cancer is gone. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. The
Listen,
cancer is gone.
I received
It's
that.
not there no more. Now the cancer is gone. What have you learned about Erica? Like, what have you learned about yourself? Have you, during that time, like the first round of cancer and the second round of cancer, how has your self love, self value, self worth
Mm.
uh, improved throughout both procedures?
Um, what I what I realized, that there were certain things that were coming up for me when you think that you're going to die, right? And you
Yeah.
think that you're on, because that first round, I thought I was going to die. I was like, okay, Erica, you're going to die, and you need to figure out what you're going to do. What is your plan? And what
Yeah.
came up for me, of course, was family. Being with my kids and making sure that I leave them with as much of myself as I could possibly leave them with. And also things that had come up for me were things that I had never done. It's simple stuff like riding a roller coaster. I had never ridden a roller coaster. I am
Really?
51 years old and I had never ridden a roller
Hold on.
coaster.
Wait. Pause.
Yes, you heard me right. You heard me right.
51?
I am 51. Yes, I
I
am
would have
51.
honestly given you at least early 40s.
Mm, yeah,
Like
appreciate it.
maybe late 30s, early 40s. Would have never 51.
I am
You look
51. Yes.
amazing at
Thank you.
51.
Thank
Oh
you
my
so much.
gosh, 51?
Yes, I am 51. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm telling you, baby girl, hold on. Hold on. If I be
I'm a
any,
hold on.
you know what I'm saying? Hold on. Because all this that you're gathering right now will
Yeah,
be used as your blueprint. It will be used as your blueprint. It'll save you this knowledge that you're acquiring because what you know right now, what you learning how to do right now is you learning how to
yeah,
get up. You learning how to survive. You learning how to make it work. You know what I'm saying? While other people can't make it work without certain things, you know how to turn nothing into something. So
yep,
this that you're going through right now, hold your head up high and thank the Most High because baby girl, he is building you into something that is unstoppable, unbreakable, right? You can bend and you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Listen, the wind may blow, honey, but all you gonna do is bend. You ain't not gonna break because you are understanding what it takes to build yourself. And this is where self-love began to happen for me. I realized in this time that I did not love myself because I didn't know how to love myself. Right. And I
yep,
learned, I thought that loving myself was a new bag, a new pair of shoes, getting my nails done, getting my hair done, putting on, making sure that I put lotion on every day, whatever, these types of things, right? Taking care of your body. And it is, right? But I learned to take care of my body from the inside out. You know what I mean? And I learned I learned that discipline equals love. And how I figured that
mm,
out was one day I was telling my daughter that I loved her so much that I refused to let her fail. You know what I mean? She's 22. She's going through it. She had a baby, the baby daddy, we know the story. And I was telling her how much I loved her and how much I refused to let her fail. And that, you know what I mean? I assumed the responsibility of parent. And I will forever be a bridge for her over troubled water, forever be that. And when I was talking to her, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't talk to myself this way.
mm,
Spoke to her out of a deep well of love. And then I learned for myself. I said, wait a minute. Is this what self love is? Not letting myself down, keeping my word to myself, being a bridge for myself. There's motivation, right? And motivation may get you started, right? But
yes,
discipline will carry you through the times when emotionally you don't feel like doing a damn thing. It, discipline will carry you when everything around you is crashing down and you have to find out a new way to accomplish the same thing that you was just accomplishing yesterday. Because every day has a new thing, right? You never know what you're going to encounter on the next day, right? And there's all
right,
kinds of distractions that come your way. And after a while, the distractions don't become distractions. They just become something else that's happening that you
yep,
pass by on your disciplined path on your way to your destiny. They just
yep,
become things. It's like driving, right? You see cars
yeah,
at the intersection, you see cars coming and going, coming around you. Sometimes they swerve into your lane a little bit, whatever, but it does not keep you from getting to the destination. You're still getting to the destination, right?
exactly.
And this is what you told yourself in your mind. I'm going to the grocery store. Jump in the car, go to the grocery store. But on the way, somebody wasn't paying attention and almost swerved into your lane. On the way, a pedestrian decided to jaywalk across the street. On your way, you know what I mean? Somebody had an accident right next to you, but you still made it to the grocery store. And
Yeah.
this is how you're doing your life. Men come and go, friends come and go, blow ups at the job, something always your money will something will always come and find your money. You will always need some money for something, right? But
Yep.
these are all just small distractions on your way to destiny, to your destiny, you know? So once you figure out, and I think you have figured out what it is that you're here for, that's the beauty of life. We truly are having a life experience. This is just an experience. When I'm speaking to my grandson before he comes, I'm speaking to him before he's even formed in his mother's womb. I'm
Mm.
speaking to him, right? He knows what he came here to do. When he was born, I looked at him and I said, "Who are you? And what have you come to do?" You have to figure that out. And once you figure that out, honey, life begins. When you figure out the reason why you're born, you know what I mean? The reason
Yeah.
why you were born. You're going through all that drama and all that stuff you're going through is because it's part of your calling. And the reason
Yeah.
you're not failing, the reason why you haven't fallen is because it's what you're supposed to talk about. You're
Yep.
supposed to deliver the keys to the kingdom. The only place that the keys are hidden is behind that dragon. The keys are behind the dragon that you have to fight every day. And every day is a new day and a new fight.
Yep. It
Every
is.
single day, right? You never know that one day I was fine, having a great time in life, and the next day I had cancer. Or I had cancer, I didn't know it. You know what I mean? The next day, I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Okay, oh, you know, um,
Yeah, that's life altering for sure.
right? So
Yeah.
I could have laid down with a woe is me, or I could get the fuck up and do what I gotta do, right? I can
Yes.
get up. And it was
Yes.
in those late night moments that I learned how to love myself,
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to look in the mirror. I didn't want to impress anybody else because I learned that the more I learned about me,
Yeah.
the more I knew about other people. Because then
Yeah.
I could recognize in their conversation the fruit of their conversation of where they were in life. And if I had something for it, I give it. Take it or
Yeah.
leave it. But if I had something for you, then I offer it to you because that's what we're supposed to do in life, right? We're supposed to help each other along in life. Some people don't get that. Some people are like, I did my part, you do your part. I'm not helping you because ain't nobody offered me no help. God if I treated other people the way I had been treated,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning that. It's difficult because the little girl in me is just like, I want that. You want that apology, but
come
you're
on,
not gonna get it.
it's okay. You know why it's okay? You know why? It's because you wanting that apology is what's driving you to do what you're doing right now. Because if you had gotten that apology, you may not be doing what you're doing right now.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean? Let I'm not saying it's easy for me to say, forget. Oh, honey, let it people gonna be people. I can't stand when people treat you like that. Oh, you need to let it go. Do you
Yeah.
think I want to walk around in hurt and pain? Don't you
No,
think I would love to be able to reach in my brain or click some buttons on, you know what I'm saying, and erase there's damn sure some ish I'd like to freaking erase. There's
for sure.
damn sure some stuff I like to erase, but I can't erase it. I just can't erase it. So you have to learn to turn your pain into power, into fuel. Let it move you. Let it make you reach out to other people and give to them what you wish you had received. Apologize because you needed an apology. Love because you needed love. Welcome because you needed welcoming. Give what you felt like you did not get. And watch and listen. For years, God would give me the scripture, Isaiah 54, I believe it is. And it talks about this woman who was barren. And he tells her to stretch out her tent far and wide because she'll have more children than a young married woman. because she'll have more children than a young married woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's because you've given the love that your little girl self, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're after. You're after to heal the young you. You're after that. And I understand that because I'm after that. I'm looking to heal little Erica. What I realize is that I'm the guardian of that little girl. As an adult, I'm the guardian of that little girl. And
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I love what you're doing here. And you know what
Thank
I'm
you.
saying? I hate to say, I don't believe that anything happens by chance because I didn't reach out to nobody else on that whole program, that whole platform. There was no one else that I read through a few of them, and I saw yours, and for whatever reason that connected with me because you said you wanted to be raw, and I was like, well, listen, this is the platform for me. So right
And I
now,
think,
what I'm doing right now is these emotions that you have, write them down. Train yourself to write them down, right? And they'll turn into a book. It'll turn into a blueprint for someone else. That's exactly what I'm doing. My book is called Badass because I
that
get,
that you are. And I wanted to piggyback off of you meeting the young man in your dream. Prior to, I believe you said it was prior to you finding out that you had cancer.
yes.
Um, and then the sequence of dreams that you had, and then you had a dream of you're talking to a baby in the womb. And you mentioned that you had shook this young man's hand before you woke up. In all honesty, I believe that young man is your grandson. I believe that you mentioned how you said that you feel like you were given more time, and I believe with that sequence of dream and you meeting him at first, at to him telling you that he passed away at such a young age, and then you said that you shook his hand, and then the other dream that you were talking to a child who ended up being a boy, and you named him. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that young man was asking you to be his grandmother. I feel like that young man's spirit came through and was like, I'm choosing you as my grandmother and I want you. You know what I mean? Like God was like, God brought both of you together and knew that you needed to be here longer for him. There's something in it for the both of y'all. There's a reason why he chose you as his grandmother, and there's a reason why he chose your daughter as his mother. So there's like that connection. The whole time you were talking about it, I'm like, that's her grandson. That little boy that she met in her dream is her grandson. Because when you mentioned that, I'm like, wait a minute. He met you. He knew who you are. He knew you didn't know him from a can of paint, but he knew what you were about to go through. And you are wearing green today. So I honestly believe that that young man that you met in your dream is your grandson. Like he needed you around for something. I don't know what. I'm not. I can't give you that answer. The only person that can give it to you is God. But there's a reason why he needed you to stay alive because he wanted you as his grandmother for a specific reason. And that's what I believe. I believe that young man that you met in your dream is your grandson. I truly believe that. I really do. And the way that you and your daughter named him is 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 interesting because he had his sunset and met you. God
You
God would
are.
do God would do some things, man. God be moving. And we just be like, okay, that's nice. And then when it comes full circle, you like, wait a minute now. Hold on. Are you telling me that he chose me and we chose each other? When you said that you shook his hand, I was like, you shook his hand? Like you felt his hand
Oh,
in the dream? And then you said that you had a dream and you were talking to a baby in the womb, and there was a sunrise happening going on in the background. And I instantly I was like, that young man is your grandson. Like the young man that you met that died at a very young age was like, yeah, I want you as my grandmother. Unfortunately, how it happened, I believe with you going through the cancer, you knew you weren't able, you didn't want any more children. You didn't want to have any more children. So he found a way to connect himself to you through your daughter. So it's like he used your daughter as a vessel. He knew he wanted you as a maternal figure, but it seems like he knew that you wouldn't be able to carry him yourself, so he used your daughter as a way to get you as a maternal figure in his life. Something must have happened in his life prior to you meeting him in your dream to where he didn't have that maternal figure. So he was like, yeah, I'm gonna choose Erica. I want her as my grandma. I want her as a maternal figure in my life. So if I were you, that young man is special. I don't know what he's going to do in your life. I don't know what he's going to do on this earth or in anyone's life, but that one right there, y'all gonna have a bond. Do y'all have a bond? Is that your man? It's not in a sense, like, you know what I mean? Is that your friend? Is that your buddy? Do you guys
It,
have like a special bond?
he loves grandma's room. He loves my room. He comes and he gets in my bed. Um, he is very, I'm so sorry.
No, you're
What you
fine.
have said, I have, I have been looking for the answers to these dreams and things that have happened to me. And you're the first person to ever make that connection. And I just my mind is just flooded with so many pieces, you know what I mean? Just so many pieces. And I never once thought that this young man, oh my God.
Because when you mentioned that you shook his hand, excuse me, you shook his hand, but you didn't know for what. All you knew is that you were given more time. And in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. You shook this young man's hand. You felt that it was cold, but you didn't know what you shook it for. And then you said you had a dream that you were talking to a baby in the womb. The baby wasn't even born yet. It was in the womb. And then you noticed that there was a light behind and you realized that it was a sunset. And I'm like, 2 + 2 = 4. So that means because
I
you knew.
buried a son. I buried a son.
Mm,
I
mm,
buried three children
art.
in my life, and one of them was a son named Elijah.
Mm,
And then my son that I have now suffered violence in my womb.
ouch.
And we didn't find out that he was going to have difficulties until I was 7 months pregnant, almost 8 months pregnant. And these problems showed up. And so my son now is special needs, but he's a musical savant. He can play piano without, it's in the front of his brain. And he can play, none of us play piano. He just came out the womb like that, along with all the challenges and difficulty.
Mm.
He's
So
faced
he
in,
can play by ear?
yeah, like he can't tie his shoes, but he can play Bach on the piano.
Wow.
He can't tie his shoes. He's completely tube fed.
Wow.
Um, he's in 10th grade, but cognitively he's, like third or fourth grade. We're still working on addition and subtraction and learning how to count money and things like that. Um,
Right, right.
but he can play anything from any 70s music on up through the 80s, Madonna, you name it. Phil Collins. He can play jazz by like Najee. He can play Grover Washington. He can play Bach. He can play I mean anything. We do a rendition of the ABCs, honey, that Ella Fitzgerald would be proud of. My son
Wow.
is incredibly musically inclined, but cannot tie his shoes.
Doesn't matter. Just keep the piano in front of him. That's all that matters.
I'm looking to start a foundation for him and other children like him. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, listen, here I thought I was helping you. Lord, this time didn't help me, Jesus. You know why? I'm gonna tell you why this fits. Because as a devout, like I was devout Christian, like you know what I mean? I was devout. And I believed all the hype, you know what I mean, about um just the things that God said. And I went from Baptist to non-denominational to where I am now, which is Reformed. Reformed theologist is the realm that I hang in. It makes the most sense to me. And through that I had been freed, and somebody asked me, what would you do if there was no fear attached to it? And I said, visit other religions, because I cannot ignore the pyramids along the equator all the way around the world. Can't ignore that. I can't ignore Egypt. Egypt calls me, specifically the 17th dynasty, Tutankhamun. I am enamored by that. And I was like, man, there's got to be, I read a scripture, small scripture that said that God talks about watching over your coming and going after you've come back to see him, after you've passed away. I was like, wait a minute. What you mean my coming and my going? Where am I coming from and where am I going after I pass on? Right? What's happening?
Right.
It was around that time that I started to entertain the idea that science says that energy never dies, but the body
Never.
dies, right? But science says that energy never dies. And if I'm energy and I literally have stardust, if I'm literally made of stardust, right? Then I am inclined to believe that when the scriptures talk about looking like Christ in the end, I was like, God, there's no way I'm gonna look like Christ by the time I'm the way the book describes it. I'm not, one lifetime is not enough time. It's not enough time to look to, you know what I'm saying? In my final moments to look like him. I just firmly believe that. And I was just like, man, maybe I come back until, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I reach these levels, right?
Yeah.
And as you reach more levels, which is also translated as from glory to glory, right? And as I
Yeah.
reach this level, so I'm inclined to believe that, because my stepfather, who I talked about, we often talked about death before he died. We talked
Hmm.
about what's out there, where can you go, what can you do. I believe that my father doesn't miss us because he's moved forward in time where we are all together. We've all passed on. And he
Hmm.
is in that time. We've had dreams of him coming back in period clothing, where the clothes look like he had been a farmer in like 1920s or something like that. His clothes are always time period when he comes to visit us in our dreams, so to speak, when we dream of him. And he's always,
Yeah.
he be tired too, like he be doing stuff. Wow. And when he was born, I was elated to be the first one to hold him. He didn't
Oh.
cry. Yeah, he didn't cry. He just looked around. The nurse was measuring and doing feet stamps, all the stuff that they do when you're
Yeah.
born. And that birthing room was quiet. He didn't make a peep, not a sound. I said, like he'd been here before, like he is not surprised, like he's been here before.
I'm telling you, that young man could possibly be. He literally made a contract with you. Like, I'm not in not a negative way, but like, hey, you about to be my grandma.
Wow.
And you said you couldn't remember. He was like, I couldn't remember what it was, but we shook hands.
We made it. It was that part of the conversation is cloaked. I can't, there's none of that conversation that I remember other than him communicating with me that he had died at a young age, that he was sad, that he was disappointed that he had died at a young age. He was dressed in period clothing in the 80s. He was dressed in 80 like a t-shirt with the arms ripped off. He had feathered hair and he had a ball cap on that was backwards and he had this feathered hair, dark feathered hair. And I just was like, so when I went to like to go ride my first roller coaster, um, there was a young man in line and I looked at him and I stared at him and I was talking to my boyfriend and I said, that's the young man. He looks just like that from my dream. That young man in my dream looks like that. And for you to say that confirms my energy never died. And I was speaking to this womb. This is before he was even consumed. We weren't even here in Virginia yet. I was talking to this child. This child wasn't a thought in anybody's head. Like, you know what I mean? And here I was like, wow, I'm talking to unborn children in my dreams. This is wild. You know what I mean? This is wild.
Yeah.
And I have this sequence of numbers that I is always on a clock. It's nowhere else. So it tells me it's time. It's definitely
Yeah.
about time.
It's like it's a new beginning for the both of you. For him, for you, because you mentioned he was upset that he passed away young.
Yeah.
And then you were wearing green. Um, you know what I mean? And it was a new beginning for you and a new beginning for himself. So it seems like both of y'all had a conversation where you guys were like, yeah, we're gonna create a new beginning for the both of us. Um, some way, somehow. It's unfortunate. Dang, I wish you remembered the conversation, but I honestly truly believe that that young man is your grandson. I I'm not moving from it. I'm not shaking from it. Somebody could probably be like, "Oh, she crazy." I'm crazy. Okay, thank you. But I honestly, deep down, believe that that young man, you and that young man, literally were like, "Okay, I'm gonna live." You told him I'm gonna live a little bit longer. And he's like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna come as your grandson." That's what I believe. You can call me crazy. I've been called crazy so much. I'll take it. But that's what I
I'm just so like, you never know what the day is gonna hold. I had been holding those dreams since 2018. Since 2018.
wow.
2018 or 2019. I had been holding onto those dreams, trying to figure out what does this mean? You know, the last piece of the puzzle, should you ever, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's for you to know or not, but the name Tubal-Cain was whispered to me. And Tubal-Cain is, according to scripture, the first person to form weapons of war. And I have been told at a random time that I am being forged. And the only thing you forge is a weapon for war. I am the weapon.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um. Yeah. We gonna end that right here.
Yeah. You are, from this
That's
moment
powerful.
on, you are like a little sister to me. I hope and pray that
Aww.
that this is the beginning of a relationship because I have thoroughly enjoyed you. Please, like, I want to bring you into the fold. Like,
I'm open. I will give you an air hug.
wow.
Virtual air hug.
Yeah.
I'm open for this relationship. I'm so open for it. But Erica, I really enjoyed this conversation. Like the one before I press record, loved it. This one, loved it. You gave me a word, like honestly gave me, and I don't cry on camera. Okay,
Mm.
I'm a sensitive thug, so I'm a sensitive thug. I cry. cry like a man. You know what I'm saying? You hold it in, and then when when you by yourself, you kind of let the tears fall. You know what I'm saying? Mitch in Paid in Full. I am Mitch in Paid in Full. That little teardrop on the side. That's me. Silently. Yeah. You know what I mean?
My
But
God.
you gave me a word. I thank you so much for the word. As gangster as you are, you just, you know what I mean? First of all, I know you can drive. The way you talk about how you was whipping that EMT truck,
Listen.
then
Listen.
I don't know what it was called, how you call it, but the way you was whipping that, I just by hearing you, I know you can drive. Okay,
Man, listen.
so
I love to drive, man. I love to drive. I
I
listen.
know you.
Listen, I thought about NASCAR. I was like, is that where I should be? I was like, where should I be right now? Is that
This conversation, oh my God, it was needed for the both of us.
Yes, I agree. I
It was
definitely
needed.
agree. Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
needed. It was long, but it was needed. And I don't care that it was long because it's gonna help somebody.
Yeah,
Somebody
I
somewhere.
hope. Yes.
It will definitely touch and help somebody. And it helped me.
Yeah.
It actually
Amen.
helped. It
Amen.
helped.
Iron
And I
sharpens
thank you for that.
iron, man.
I thank you for that. That was beautiful. Story was beautiful.
Mm.
Everything that transpired was beautiful. I thank you. Thank you so much for your time, for your story, for being you. Just thank you. I really truly do appreciate that. Like it's not easy to share a candid conversation with other women of color without there being, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
without it being difficult, without it being difficult to pull the information from, without us having to be like, well, I'm not gonna tell you, but this, that, and the third. It was easy. It flowed, and
Mm.
I love that.
It
But
was.
yes, thank you for coming. I appreciate this. I'm gonna watch this over and cry again in the comfort of my mama's home. Have tissue box next to me too. I'm gonna
Oh
watch
gosh.
this again and cry again. Again, thank you. I want to thank all the viewers, those that are listening wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, share this video, share all the videos if you like it. Share them all. Hit that notification bell. Follow us on Instagram at Unloaded and Uncovered Podcasts. You can look and search and find my podcast page on Facebook, Unloaded and Uncovered. And if you also want to follow me, you can follow me at Magda Desir _ on Instagram. So thank y'all for tuning in. Erica, again, thank you for coming. I
Absolutely.
I loved it. I love this. This was great. This was really, really great.
I'm glad you
You
enjoyed it.
got you
I
gotta come
enjoyed
back.
it. Huh?
You gotta come back.
Oh, say the word. For you I'll make time. For you I will carve out time.
That's what I love to hear. You know what I'm saying? That we
Absolutely.
heard. We heard. We heard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Until next time.